guys, welcome to another episode of Get Up 10. I'm really excited about today's episode. I got into such a good conversation with today's guest. But before I talk about her, I just want to let you know, in case you don't know, and if you don't know, where you been at. I'm an author now. I got a book. It's called Thrive: How to Let Go, Find Purpose, and Flourish When Staying Seems Easier. And you can get your copy right now. Literally right now. You can go get your copy on Amazon or Barnes and Noble. And yeah, you should go do that. I think it's a really good idea. So anyways, this week we are talking with Erika Perry, better known as Coach Perry. She is a youth mental wellness coach and speaker. She empowers female athletes and coaches to prioritize their health and mental game to reach their full potential. And we had a really dope conversation. Our conversation was just evidence of the fact that where you meet people at is not where they always have been, right? Because when I met Coach Perry, she was definitely in a position of leadership. I looked up to her and I still look up to her. And she's just bringing all this energy. She's such an amazing person for accountability and just ideas and encouragement. So to have this opportunity to sit with her and actually hear her story and what she's been through, I was shocked because I would have never guessed that because of just the presence and the energy that she brings on a daily basis. I would have never, ever been able to guess what she's been through. And so it was so dope to hear her story, and I just really value who she is as a person, and y'all gonna hear it. The way that she talks when it comes to self-awareness and character is just so commendable, and she's out here ready to pour into our youth, especially our young girls. And so if you hear this episode and you really love what she's saying and you have connections to a school, definitely hit her up. And we are going to mention during the show, she does have shirts and hoodies and gear that says talkers versus doers. And it's one of the coolest looking t-shirts that I own. And so if you want to get your own and rep her brand, because this t-shirt is tough, y'all. You guys see it. I'm going to have to post a picture with it. But if you want to get a t-shirt, she'll customize it for you. I will be sure to drop her contact info in the show notes. But enough of me. Let's get into this conversation with Coach Perry. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Get Up 10. I am here with Erika Perry, although most of us affectionately know her as Coach Perry. Hey Coach, welcome to Get Up 10.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for welcoming me. How are you?
I'm good. I think I got a little Christmas spirit on me today.
Uh-oh, come on. Yes.
Yeah, I might release this episode in 2024, but it's fine. I feel like Christmas spirit can be, it should be a year round thing.
Hey, we present our gift to people every day. So Christmas is every day. So if you guys hear this in 2024, you are a gift and give somebody else a gift.
Period. Yeah, but the other day I was thinking, I wish that the houses were lit up all year because I really love it.
hmm Yeah. Unfortunately, my neighborhood, they did not go all out this year. And little to say that I didn't put anything but a tree up. I'm like, look where y'all lights at. So yeah, it was one of those things that I've been going to other neighborhoods looking at like,
Yeah, it's like that sometimes. It's fine. So let me give you the rundown on Get Up 10. We talk about resilience, we talk about authenticity and just being yourself. And it stems from a Cardi B song, but I always make the disclaimer I do not follow Cardi B. I don't know what she got going on these days. It was
oh
just
Lord.
at the time when I created my podcast, that was part of the inspiration. Because in one of her songs, she says, "Knock me down 9 times, but I get up 10. Look myself in the mirror. I said, we gonna win. Knock me down 9 times, but I get up 10." And then I also just admired, when I was more plugged in, I'll just say overall, when I was more plugged into celebrity gossip and all that kind of stuff, because I've definitely taken a step back from all that because it's just too much. But anyways, when I had more time to dabble in that stuff, um,
Definitely.
I noticed that Cardi B was very transparent throughout her rise to fame or whatever you want to call it.
And I really admired that because she would come on Instagram live, like with her wig off, or like before her teeth was fixed, or like just hanging at her grandma's apartment. Well, not her grandma's, but just in the projects, whatever.
Being
Like it
authentic.
wasn't
Yeah.
about like bragging and being polished and like showing off all of her money or all of her material thing. It wasn't about that. She was just showing up as herself. And I really respected that because I know, and you know as well, like so many of
Mm,
us, we make excuses as to why we can't show up on social media or even just outside,
yeah.
period.
We're big on that part.
Exactly. So that's kind of like the values, the ideas behind my podcast. So with that being said, how has life knocked you down?
Oh man. Where should I start? I know we talked about I only have like a few minutes.
Oh, wherever you
But
want to
I
say.
guess getting to where I am now when we're talking about life knocked down. And I'm gonna make the say of although like you said you get knocked down, you can still get up 10 times. And we see it as a knockdown, but so many things I have seen as a visualization of something greater. But perhaps where the last 2 years have been tremendous for me, in 2020 during COVID, I decided to speak out about some things that was going on at a particular place that I then worked at. And between speaking out, I was let go. But the speak out was concerning people of the Black and Brown community that looks like me. And because I chose to do that, something that I had put over 10.5 years with degree, everything, helped them start and implement programs or directors of the program, they let me go. And at that point in my life, so many things changed because I never expected where I started transitioning to adults would let me go because of something that I was hired for, which was to speak up. So in the midst of doing that, I was knocked down because I've been on my own since college. Went to school, got this amazing job. So I say, have a nice home, various cars. I am a little hot girl, ride motorcycles and everything. I got all this stuff, and then I'm told during the worst time of our economy, we no longer need you. And it took a drastic turn for me because it was coming to understanding that these are people I've known to babysit their kids. I've talked to them on a daily basis. I went over and beyond. When they say 40 hours, I did 80 hours. Just so much. And for them to do that with no explanation, it was just like, wow, how did this happen? And matter of fact, it was when I had just sent reporting to them saying, hey, here's a reporting. Among that reporting, a day later, they got this huge grant listing my name as the continuing program director, and I was just crushed. So I went into anxiety, depression hard, not knowing where I'm gonna go, facing the reality that hey, you may have to go back to your mom's house that you left at 17 and you swore to yourself that you wasn't gonna go back, which that's what I said. I wasn't gonna go back. So I was gonna do everything that I could. Thankfully that I did have savings and some other things, set around to be able to push me to that level. But even with job loss, it's a form of grief. Nobody tell you how that's going to affect you. Nobody tell you that thought frame. Again, right out of college, I went into this job for over 10 years. So that was all that I knew. So to say I got to transfer to something else, it hit me for a loop. But in the midst of that, so many other great things have came along and coming along. And I would say, and some people are going to look at this and say, this girl is crazy. Although my background is social work and psychology, I was thankful and I still am thankful for that depression. I'm thankful for that anxiety. I'm thankful for those nights that I second guess why I should even be here. Because me in between those moments allowed me to feel what other people are feeling and be okay talking about it. If it was 2020, 2021, I would have been boo going on the crime. I couldn't talk about it. But now I've defeated that part and I'm able to bring awareness to other people about mental health, grief, and other things and know that it looks different in so many different forms of fashion. But in between that time frame, me sitting on those bed every night, complaining about how they let me go and what they're doing. It was about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I just sat up in the bed. And I was like, okay, so what you gonna do, coach? You gonna continue to talk about it, or you gonna get up and do something about it? Or you gonna tell people how to actually be proactive? And that birth Talkers versus Doers, my clothing line. It came through a storm. It came through pain. And it's moving greatly, and I'm able to talk about it and implement it into programs and things that I'm doing. But it's so profound with us just as individuals. We talk about circumstances that we're in, we cry about it, and we keep talking and talking. But when are you going to do something to change that circumstance? And that's what I'm doing now. So, yes, it was a downtime, got knocked down so many times from that because food stamps, they did not want to get that to me. Unemployment, they did not want to get that to me. You still have savings, you have other accounts. So now everything that I work with my clients with, I'm looking like, oh my God, these are the things that they was telling me. I'm calling and people are having the worst attitude. Oh my gosh. And I'm like, okay, I see why some of that stuff be on the news. Because as I'm calling these people, they're just, okay, we don't have your paperwork. Okay, you can't do it. And me still trying to profane and be professional. I'm like, ma'am, if you could just explain this to me. Unfortunately, I've never been in this situation, so I don't understand. Yes, I look like you. Yes, I talk like you, but I did a different path. That doesn't say I'm not better than you, but can you please explain to me? I had individuals just like, no, we're not going to explain this process. And I know it may sound childish and stuff, but I just didn't know the numbers. I didn't know where to call for help. My lights got turned off. Nobody knew. And I was afraid to call and tell people, like, hey, I've reached to that point of my life where lights got turned off. It was even a point of the time that with those lights and my refrigerator stopped working, that for a week and a half, I was eating out my garage. I literally got coolers, put food and everything in my garage just to keep my food and stuff cold. But I didn't know who or where to go to. So these are things in the last 3 years when people look at me and like, oh my gosh, she's doing it, she's speaking. I have struggled. I've been through so many challenges and changes. But as I said, I'm thankful because this informed me and showed me some of the things that so many people are facing on a daily basis and how to talk about it, and how to be okay talking about it, and how to smile about it. Because once we allow things to take over us in a negative tone or a negative way, it will take away from us. So now I smile about the traumas. I smile about the pain because they have made me a better person. And they're going to continue to make me a better person. Just my little
Wow.
2 cents.
I had no idea that you went through all that. I mean, of course, I just
Mhm.
met you this year. Well, I'll say 2023 for, just in case, for clarity. But I had no idea that you went through all of that. And even this morning, I was listening to All the Above by Mano. I don't know if you remember that song. It's a couple years old. And
Okay.
there's one part where he says, like, thank you for making me struggle. Thank you for making me grind. I perfected my hustle. Tell me the world ain't mine. And that part always gets
Ooh.
me. Cause yeah, like how many people have that attitude of like, thank you for this struggle. Like I'm grateful for it. And like I see
Yes.
that you do. So that's huge. And I was taking notes. So I have some comments. First of all, I should have worn my Talkers versus Doers shirt today because that would have just made sense. I love
Yeah.
your shirts.
Yes.
First of all, you got shirts and like hoodies, sweatshirts, whatever you need. She's got it and she has
Yeah.
different colors. So we're definitely gonna
Hmm.
drop that in the show notes because it's such a fire. Like the way that the design is, like I just love it. It's great for everyday wear, for travel, whatever. Anyways, the
Oh,
point is
thank you.
y'all need to get you one. So I'm gonna drop the link
Definitely.
for that. But the reason I didn't wear mine today is because it's like 40 degrees, 50 degrees here in Florida. And so it's basically like freezing outside.
Oh, bless y'all, Florida weather.
Yeah, we're
Because you
finally
know
getting
us
cool.
Southerners, baby, we've been 30 and 20 for a minute.
Yeah, no, I don't know what that's like no more. But that's crazy, what you went through at your job. And it's something that a
Yeah.
lot of people go through and it could turn out so many different ways, but I can relate to
Hmm.
that because even as a nurse, like the hospitals that I work for, or one particular hospital, I'll say, they have this like culture, quote unquote, of like, it's okay to make mistakes, just let us know first, and like you won't be punished, and we want to hear your voice. Your
Mm-hmm.
voice matters. We want your input. That's what they tell you. But
Definitely.
I learned real quick, like when you actually speak up, it's not well received.
Definitely.
So that happened to me. I learned that lesson like fresh out of college, like early into my career. And honestly, I feel like I let that silence me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was like, oh, that's how y'all moving. All right, I'm just keep my mouth shut. But then
Right.
you get miserable when you're just being silent when you know you have something to say. It's like the same way of like when you're in a relationship and you have things that are bothering you, but you choose not to say anything, and you
You
like
don't
sweep
want to step on their toes. You don't want to say nothing to them that's going to hurt them or harm them. But then we
yeah,
delay our feelings because we're doing
yeah,
that for someone else.
exactly. And this year I really realized how many parallels there are between like
Mm.
the workplace and relationships. Like,
Oh, yeah.
but wow, okay. Oh, and also you said like there's a form of grief in losing your job, and losing your job is one of the top 5 most stressful events that humans
Hmm.
experience. The other ones
Hmm.
that are up there are like moving, uh divorce, loss of a loved one. I
Right.
always forget what the other one is, but losing your job is also on that list. So yeah, like
Hmm.
the stress, the grief is very real. But like I said, I never would have known today that you went through all of that. And I see
Hmm.
the opportunities that's coming your way now.
Man, when I tell
So,
you, like you say, God is so good. And it's still hard. I'm not going to sit here and anytime I'm talking or I'm doing a podcast, I like to be realistic with people and say, I'm still having problems. I'm human. You know, truthfully, I got up this morning and I was just like, I don't want to do nothing today. I had one of those. I had 2 weeks before this, and it was the struggle to just get up and do something because mentally I look on the outside and say, I should be farther along. Then I have to reel myself back in and say, no, you're where you need to be. And we fight that struggle with ourselves daily when we're doing things. Because one thing we got to understand, as soon as we start seeing success, the devil here and sees success too. So he's going to bring those conflicted things. And now I do more of the do more of the meditation and the praying to reduce those things. Because those are still triggers with me when I come back and I look at things and like, oh, I could have had A, B, C, and D if they would not want to go. I had this whole, account of money saved up that I was putting into the company that right about now I could have had several thousands of dollars, but all that was taken away from me. So I go back to anger and grief. And then I'm on social media. I'm looking like, yep, I know your kid. I know your child. I ain't gonna do that though. So it takes you back into those areas and that mental aspect, but you gotta keep fighting. You gotta keep going.
yeah,
You
thank you
gotta
for,
know it's better.
yes, for sure. Thank you for adding that, because it's easy to just be like, yeah, everything's good now. And everything's not good. But that's so true. That's like I think the word is like duality. That is the duality of life. It's like you could be winning in one area, but other areas are still catching up. And I, yeah, I can relate to that because I definitely still think about when I was working in New York, and New York money is different than
Wow.
money down south,
I'm
So
sure.
I like to think about when I was working in New York and I have my savings account with a couple thousand, with several $1,000s in it. I still think about that to this day. I'm like, if I was working as a nurse right now, I could be doing da da
I
da
be
da.
banking.
But
Yeah.
at the same time, it's like, be real with yourself. Like, you weren't
Mhm.
happy. Like, your bank account might not look like that right now, but you have gained so much more. And like,
Gain so
oh,
much
that
more.
comparison
Yeah.
is so dangerous.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I get that. And I appreciate your transparency because I want somebody to know like it's okay to have moved forward in one
Hmm.
area and still be working on some other things. Like, that's okay.
Yeah. It is fine.
So, How did you get back up to where you are today? Even though you are still striving for bigger and better things and they are coming in due time, you're still not where you used to be. So, what has helped you to get to where you are today?
Focusing more on my wellness and then allowing it to become my purpose. I think so many people say focus on your purpose all the time, but mine has been focusing on my will. Focusing on becoming more self-aware of who I am. Focusing on me. Making sure that you are right before you're able to tangibly or physically fix or do anything with everyone else. So this transition, it actually helped so much because I had to focus on me. I had to take that time and cry on my face and say, what is that I need to change about? How can I get better as a person? And getting better as a person means I eliminated people, things, and places that no longer serve me good. I took those things out of my environment, but also walking in awareness, meaning that I got a story to tell. People need to hear this because that pain and anxiety and depression and suicidal thoughts that I went through within those years came from behind things in my childhood too that was never captured, that was never talked about. So it allowed me to be able to say, okay, yes, I'm in this breakdown, but I'm going to now take therapy too, and I'm going to talk to someone because I had issues growing up. I was a sports kid, played everything, top notch, coach sports and all that, but had my mom only came to one game. That's from elementary to collegiate. And she came at halftime. Halftime. And by that time, I had done so great, had 20 some points. They set me down, had my brother to come over there and tap me and say, Mom said she left work early. Why you ain't at a game? Because I was so excited that she finally said she was coming. I played like crazy. But I was summa cum laude. I was team captain. I was everything. But my eighth grade year and my 12th grade year, coaches walked me down for my senior year. Not parents, nobody. Those are things people don't talk about. But it was a feeling and hurting feeling of looking at that crowd every game, knowing no one's going to be there, but just imagining a family member being there. Just imagining being helped. So that took on into those past 3 years of me imagining somebody was going to come help me because now I was struggling. But I'm so used to pouring into the family because I had this great job. But it conflicted back to what was going on in middle school and high school when nobody was there for me. But I made sure everybody else looked good. I made sure the job looked good because I was the coordinator, program directors. I made sure my family looked good because they can post about me and brag about all the great. But I wasn't happy inside. So through that process, all this got me a chance to look at it and it opened me up to be able to talk to my mom. I didn't really have a relationship to my mom till I was like 26 or 27. I'm in my 30s now. And it wasn't until a year ago that I really told her, like, look, it was awful. I know, thank you. I did it. That was the same way I felt like I did it. And I had just to tell her, yo, it was awful growing up. She ended up getting married, have a stepdad. And I was just like, I never felt like that he cared for me. I never felt like I belonged in the family. But if I have not went through those 3 years, I had would not been able to express the things that I express now. So sometimes we look at pain as bad, but pain opened up a door for me to express and allow people to understand. Even though still, I'm gonna be honest, my parents are like, you just being you. You just want to complain. And if anything you guys take away with this is gonna be everybody's not gonna see your pain, your trauma as your pain, your trauma. Because they're not you. And that was something that I had to really cope with because I'm like, I'm crying out and telling you guys. And all I'm hearing from the family is, you're just complaining. Just get up and go get a job. You're just in your feelings. You're overwhelmed. You could pay your bills. Everything was back to go get a job. And I'm like, it's bigger than it. It's bigger than money. And I think that was another thing to push me instead of saying, no, I'm not going to go get a 9 to 5 and do the norm. And nothing to anybody of being a corporate slave. I'd rather just slave for myself because you guys keep pushing money, but I'm showing you it's not the money, it's the purpose. It's the reason why I went into this. So because it's a purpose, I'm going to continue to push that purpose, but I'm going to push it through wellness by expressing to youth and young adults that it's okay to talk about what you're going on. Because if not, you're going to be me at 30 some years old for 3 years, not know how to handle your stress, not having someone to talk to. When I pushed myself and said, I'm going to talk about this and everything that I'm going through, guess what? For a whole year and a half, my family stopped talking to me. They just started back talking to me this year. See, that's the stuff people don't know. And I still push. You'll still see me show up for social media. You still see me show up for other people. You still see me in groups and stuff doing things because I had to find for me and still show up for me and my well-being. Because if nobody did it while I was young, they're not gonna do it now.
I was gonna add, and we see you investing in yourself as well.
Yes, thank you. And it's
Yeah.
so important. And I tell people you have to invest in yourself because no one is going to invest in you. Like if you want to get to that next level, you got to get in the rooms. You got to get around people. And you got to get around the right rooms and people that have been through where you've gone, getting better, or actually showing you better ways. Because when I was still hanging with family members and friends, it was just still like, I'm still in this dump. But I'm like, no, I got to eliminate myself. I got to get around other people. I got to get around people that see greatness and want to be better. And I enjoy it because it's needed. But when people look back and hear my story, like, we'd have never known.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
it's there. Yes.
I have a few thoughts that came up as you're speaking. So hopefully I remember them all because I didn't write them down. But I was thinking about how like recently on social media, I have been seeing like more and more young athletes who they didn't have their family or parents
Mm-hmm.
there for them, and other people from their team or their community stepped in for them and like made sure that they had a place to sleep, that the gym was open, that they had food, and I think it's so powerful because it honestly sucks that like your mom wasn't there for your games growing
Mm-hmm.
up. Like I can only because I also was a student athlete and I know like mom or dad is gonna be there. So
Right.
it's different. I can't even imagine like
Mm-hmm.
because the same thing. Like I played sports for so many years and to like not see my mom there, like I just can't, or my dad, I can't imagine that. But I think now as adults, like my takeaway is like don't be afraid to show up for somebody else. Like if you see that young
Yeah.
kid that needs some love and support, like don't be afraid to like step in for them. And you might do something little, like pack that extra snack or lunch with your own kid for that other kid. But like those are the things that make such a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing I thought about. And also it's just great, like whew, it's crazy
I
when
know.
you're expressing your pain and
Mm-hmm.
somebody's like, "Oh, nah, like it's not that serious, it's not that deep."
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
that is very painful and it can be really confusing because it's like I think the term is like gaslighting. I don't know, where like you're saying something and the person's like, "Oh no, that didn't happen. It wasn't like that." And then
Right.
you start like questioning yourself.
Mm-hmm. Like
Yeah.
you say, you question yourself and you start thinking, was this the right time or was this the right place to do it? And like you said, just like a relationship, I shouldn't have to question my feelings if I'm expressing to myself, like expressing to you that these are the things that happened to me. But also, even though I have not forgotten, I did forgive my mom and stuff. So I'm like, okay, yeah, you just didn't know. Unfortunately, she had some, not unfortunate, but we have some nieces and nephews and her grandkids. She go to their games and stuff. But she said to me, Erica, I just didn't know how important this was to kids. Like, and it still tweaks me because I'm like, oh, you're calling me, hey, I'm headed to the game. I'm like, I don't care. But, I'm grown. But it's still that child in me, like, you're making sure you have their schedules. You're setting out, you're leaving, you and my stepdad, y'all going to the field, y'all cheer for them. I'm like, man, where was this when I needed? I needed that. But I go back and say, no matter what we think, life is already set. It is written, which means I wouldn't be here being able to tell this story if they were there. God wanted me to go through this without that support system. He wanted me to be able to push this. And that goes to Coach Perry. I get a lot when people say, why Coach Perry? Coach Perry is so just hard to me that I tell people that I can walk in places, they be like, what's your name? Sometimes I forget Erica. I say Coach Perry. Just because during my time of need and life, Coach Perry was what birthed. And like you said, I had coaches that walked me down the aisle. My coaches are even male coaches. I call them pops. I give them their flowers still while they're here. They noticed what was going on in my household. So they picked me up. They dropped me off. I had a coach that made sure that I not only made B's, but A's to just get in the game. I mean, my eighth grade year, my coach, and I'm sitting there, got my report card, gave to him. We're playing one of the top schools that we're competing against, and we get ready. I take off my jersey and I'm running. He like, sit down. I'm like, what's up, coach? Sit down. And as he sit down and he leaned over to me and said, you know, you made a beat, right? I'm like, yeah, but coach, your game got to start. It's like, you're not playing today. I said, what you mean? He said, I can't allow you to settle for anything less than life because your life is unique. So you got to give 110% every time. And he said, guess what? When we take this L, I want you to think about that the next time. That because whatever you're a part of, your leadership and you has to be 110% because no one is counting on you, not even your family. And I was just like, yo, okay, okay. It hurted. I'm crying. I'm mad on the bench and everything, but it gave me understanding. Now I go into high school and this particular coach give me to my other coach and say, hey, take care of my daughter now. Take care of her. And he did that. The same thing will push me, made sure both of them will come together because guess what? My mom them didn't pay for my packages for school. She may have gave me 10, 20, and when she could with money. In the beginning, we was a single parent home. But my coaches said, hey, you keep up your grades, you do what you gotta do. They paid for my stuff. So guess what I did? As I became adult, I became that coach that coaches were to me. I walked kids down eighth grade and senior night. I understood and I was transparent. Some of the girls would be crying and they'd be like, Coach Perry, how do you understand? Because I am she. I'm looking at you. You are a mirror. You are a reflection of me. So I went through this pain to understand. So when I see you break down because your mama had came in that door with your senior stuff, I know that feeling. So guess what? In the locker room, I got your best. I got you because I understand that. When kids was coming to practice and didn't want to leave, and we'll say, hey, we leaving at 3, and they say, Coach, can we stay 2 more hours? I understood because you going through stuff at home. I was sexually assaulted growing up. I understood what it means not to want to go home. So that pain pushed me to be able to see in other kids. It helped me to push other kids and let them know you got to use this asset. This love you got for the game is going to take you to another level. But you got to love it so much for you. Can't nobody tell you that you can't do it because that's what I did. So because of sport, I had that academic scholarship and sports scholarship to go to college. If I didn't have that, who knows where I would have been? But it was already ready. So Coach Perry's love language with me because I was able to give to you something that was needed and given to me. So I love to hear Coach Perry. I mean, I was at a meeting, the lady was like, that's not your real name? Man, you don't understand my story or my pain. Coach Perry birthed the woman that's sitting in front of you. Not because of who I was as a player, but the pain and what I gave back and I'm giving back to the now. That's my purpose. But again, I had to walk into wellness to identify that purpose. So every pain that I went through and becoming a better person is walking me to what I'm doing now. Is being there for athletes, allowing them to understand and know. Now, not only was I an athlete, but yeah, just 3 years ago, I contemplated suicide several times. But God. So when that kid in school said, man, I don't want to be here, I could sit to him and say, I know you don't want to be here, but I want you to look at me. So much is greater to come. Your story is not for you. Your story is going to help that next kid. Your story is helping me because I have the ability to talk to you and bless you. Because every time I talk to a kid, I tell a kid, I'm always a student. I'm not coming here to teach you or tell you. I'm here to engage in conversation and get you to understand you're not the only one going through pain. We all go through pain. It may be a little different, but we're gonna get through it together. So Coach Perry is just it's unique. It's amazing to me. When I like I said, when I hear it, it's like bird seed. And I know a lot of people be like, oh my gosh, Coach Perry. Yeah, call me that. Let me know I'm doing God's work. I'm Coach Perry. I am her. She is me. I'm a reflection of the pain of every kid that I encounter. I know God put me there for a reason to coach them in some form of fashion. So,
Yes.
and
I
I be
love
going
that.
on and on, Jenny. I go
No,
on.
because like I said earlier, and you already know, like I have such a heart for like student athletes. And this week I just released my episode with um, Mo
Let's
Speaks.
go,
And
Momo.
so, we all have our athlete stories. And even in my book, I share about what I went through playing basketball over the years. And I had some really great coaches and I had some not so great coaches.
Yeah.
And I share that all. So to hear about you as a coach and the coaches that you had growing up, it just like fills my heart because it's like that's the type of people that we need. Like,
Mhm.
I don't think that I think some people they just coach because they love the game and they want to win. It's like an ego boost for them, and they don't really realize that it's so much deeper than that. Like you have the opportunity to impact a
Mhm.
life for real, and I don't think some people have realized that. Like to this day, my coach from my freshman year of college like still checks on me. Like he still texts me out the blue, like, "Hey, how
Yo, I
you
love it.
doing?" Yeah, and like on the flip side, I think about like some of my not as good coaches, and it really felt like they didn't care. Like
Mhm.
all they wanted to do was win. Or my
Mhm.
one coach, I don't know what she had going on in her personal life or what, but it definitely came onto the court because we just never knew like what kind of mood she was gonna be
Who
in.
she
And
was gonna be from day to day. You just
yeah, and it did not create a safe space for us, and it
mhm.
was really sad because we love basketball. Like we're Division 3 athletes. We
Mhm.
play for love of the game, to be honest, because we ain't getting no scholarships, but we love
Right.
this game. And we had a coach just like steal our joy because the environment that she created. And so like I'll always any chance I get, I'll always put the message out there that like when you have the opportunity to
Mhm.
coach, it's more than wins and losses. It's so
Right.
much deeper than that. And so I love to
Like I
hear
tell
that
people, yes, all the time. I tell people, being a coach is a calling.
mm,
Like it really is something that you are called to do because you are leading. You, like you said, these are you. You're leading. You're helping them build character, leadership, and who they are as a person. And if you're not ready to lead a flock, then you don't need to do it. Because just as well as I had good, I also so happened my 11th grade year as I transitioned into playing other sports. I ended up getting a bad coach too. That I stopped for a semester. And I was just like, I was done. So you have those bad coaches, and I've coached with horrible coaches. I've coached with some coaches that only wanted to win. As I produced and started doing more in this area of working with athletes, as you said, and also the coaches of providing that safe and good space for the kids to be able to grow, to be able to learn, and be okay with you as a coach. But when you're a coach and you're not self-aware of who you are and the things that you got going on in the house, you can't be there. So I'm always working with coaches too and doing professional development for them of let's become self-aware who you are first. Because some of y'all just here because you homeboy, or you homegirl, and they just brought you in. Or just because you played sports before. Yes, it's good to play sports, but everybody that plays sports can coach.
yeah,
Especially if you ain't dealt with a lot of things that you got going on. So it was a
exactly.
point where I had to stop coaching with a group. Like I had my own AAU team. And I had to, at that point, again, another trial God put me through. I had to let that go because I had coaches around me that were so amazed at trophies And I was like, it's bigger than this. And then I had parents mad at me because some of the kids that was great players, but if you disrespecting one of the staff or you disrespecting me, I don't care how great you is, you sit down. I had a parent come in the during halftime, walk across to me and say, "Hey, you need to put my child in." Ma'am, a teacher just told me she disrespected her. Not once, not twice, but 3 times in the classroom. We're not going to tolerate that. I'm building leaders. I'm building young women. She's not going to get on the court and play and smile, and she just left out of classroom being disrespectful. At the same point of that same school, that assistant principal came to me and said, "Hey, Coach Perry, you want to get that bonus? You're going to need to keep playing her." I said, "Oh, man. So you coming at me about a couple of more $100? You must don't know how big and how great my God is. Because with the salary we make, and I stay outside of the city, that's gas money to me. Half of my money goes back to the kids anyway, because I know that God is going to put me in the predicament to pull back and buy other kids shoes and everything because that was done for me." So I was like, yeah, that's why it's now 2.5 years. I have not been coaching. It was hard at first, but I love it now because I'm walking in a different path. But it was needed for me to get away from that area because I wanted so much more for my youth. But I had the coaches and some of the principals too, like, "Coach Perry, we gotta win. We ain't really worried about all that other stuff. We need to get these trophies." It's like, yeah, just like, mm-mm.
I have the most respect for you for that because that says a lot about your character and who you are as a woman. And that's huge because, yeah, like money comes and goes, but your character, like that's something that is worth more than money. So shout out to you for that. And I'm happy that you brought it back to self awareness because that's exactly what I was thinking. Even recently, I had a meeting with somebody about doing a leadership position, I'll just say. And because I finally feel like I'm in that place. Because again,
Mhm.
back to self awareness, I know I'm in a season where I do have something to give. It is my time to serve in, servant leadership. Because
Yes.
yeah, I gotta throw that in there because that's really what it is. And I was talking to the lady and she was like, "Yeah, I just stepped into this position. I think I'm going to be changing some things up because the people who are leading currently, some of them, it's like they just, whoever was here before, they was just taking anyone and everyone. And as you know, like there's certain qualities or, certain things that leaders should be doing that some of these
Right.
people were not doing." And I completely understood that. And in my head, I'm thinking, "Ooh, these people about to be upset when they find out they're getting asked to step down." And
Yes.
I've been on both sides of it because I
Mhm.
understand when you think you're doing something good and then somebody comes and says, "Hey, let's have a seat." You're like,
Right.
"What? Excuse me?"
Mhm.
But on the flip side, it's like, if only those people knew what a gift they're being given, the opportunity to step down and work on
Mhm.
themselves and come back
Right.
better, because when you lead with your cup full, it's just different. So
Mm.
I love that you have that self-awareness to know, like, all right, it's my season to step back. And
Mhm.
I posted a couple weeks ago, like, God opened the door for me to coach again because that's like something I want so bad. Like I would just love
And
to do.
he will. Yes, he
Yeah.
will.
And the same thing for you. Like when the time is right, that opportunity is gonna come together and it's gonna be way better than before. And
Mhm.
also from the student athlete perspective, like when we were in Atlanta together, I realized, because I was listening to everybody's stories and what they've been through, and I was like, I don't have a crazy story. Like my story is not very traumatic. I don't have a lot of childhood traumas. But when you talk about resilience, when you talk about grit, when you talk about
Mhm.
hustle, I feel like I got that. So where did it come from? I had to ask myself, like, where did it come from if not from trauma? And it just showed me like
Mhm.
there's other ways to get those qualities outside of pain. And I thought that was such a powerful
Mhm.
revelation. And it's true because like uh as a student athlete, I definitely had my share of let's call them moments to learn humility.
Right, right, right. And life
And
lessons. I mean, like you
yes,
said, it may not
exactly.
be the same of everyone else's story, but you had something to get to that level. More now doing it in more of the speaking field. I'm always thinking of how can I reflect or relate to someone else that's in front of me. So your audience are going to be people in front of you that looks like you or may have gone through some of the things that you personally gone through. That doesn't mean it has to be extreme trauma like anyone else, but it's some young lady that's just like, I don't know how to get over this breakup. And that's something that's like, girl, let me tell you.
Yeah.
And once you continue to walk in your wellness, your purpose will be given to you. The people around you will be, and it's like, man, like so many things are coming to me now that's solely related to mental health and mental wealth. And I'm just like, this is mind blowing how it was coming. And I was saying on the Zoom yesterday, I was like, they coming so quick. That's a little scary. Some paid, some are not paid. But it's just like everything is aligning on what I need to do. But let me tell you how great and how specific the creator is. So I've been saying before we talk, like I gotta work out, I gotta work out, I gotta do all this stuff. So that's been a huge thing with me. Like you gotta get back fit. As you talking about health, you're talking about what? Yesterday I had two calls of a young man because I coach boys too. I specialize in working with female athletes as it becomes to mental wellness and mental performance. But I don't shy away from the boys. And a young man called me and was like, "Hey, Coach Perry, I'm doing a major project to get money and be able to go to Washington, but I need a mental health mentor." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I don't know." He was like, "No, Coach, I'm asking you." And I was like, "Oh, sure, took my horn." So he's like, "I'm going through this project. We'll be meeting. If I get this money, they're gonna fly us out." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, yo, no, we got to do it because I'm about to act a fool." So I'm getting excited about that because I'm talking to this young man that still, he's now a junior, but in the ninth grade, I met him and talked with him and knew about the things he's going through. Now he's going through a big project. He's like, him and his mom was like, there was no better person to help him with this but you, Coach Perry. Like, we want you to be a part of it. Later on, I got a call from a group that I work with and was like, hey, we're coming back into the schools in January. We want to know, can we put you on contract? Sure, what are we be talking about? How can we put mental health back into the school? And I'm like, man, everything's just coming along with it. But then they go and say, but we're going to do an activity part like a relay. And I said, oh, you're trying to be funny, Lord. So I really got to work out now because I can't get showed up by these students. But so many things are aligning just in that area with things that I want to do because I'm focused on the well being of me. I can't help but help other people in their well being too to get to that next level.
Yeah. And I think that goes back to hurt people, but
Mm,
heal people. And so, because you're
come
doing
on,
work,
Jennifer, let's
doors are
go.
opening for you to help other people heal and be well.
Mhm.
So I love that. And I just want to ask, like, transparently, or not transparently, but like, what's the word? Like, clearly, because I like to make the advice or whatever tangible so it's very clear to somebody like what they can do. So for the person who is dealing with uncertainty, with anxiety, with depression, like what can they do right now to help them move forward?
One of the things, and this is what I actually teach to my youth before we even started to our courses, is one self awareness. I know it sounds cliche, you guys have heard me say it, but I'm big on self awareness. That is the first thing. I want you to ask yourself, what are my strengths? What are the things that I need to get better in? What's holding me down right now? Like become self-aware of you because you can battle with anything. But if you're not certain the reason why you're battling with this, you will never get to the next step, which is a growth mindset. You got to develop that growth mindset after you're aware. Like once I became aware that, okay, I'm sitting in this pool of depression because of a job loss. But how do I grow to get to the next level? My strength was understanding one, I am whose I am. Two, I have the degrees and understanding, so I can still do this. A job do not have to connect me to that service. I had to become self-aware of the qualities that I had. I know I could speak, but I don't know the correct ways and all. That's why I'm still gaining more information. I had to become self-aware of that. So what are the things that you need to become self-aware about yourself? What are those things that are actually hurting and why they're hurting? You're saying that you don't have clarity. What do you want clarity in? Become more direct. Because when you just say things instead of asking a question, you can't find solutions. So if I'm asking myself, what do I need clarity on? That means that I'm asking myself a question. I need clarity on understanding who I am. Okay, how will I do that? Growth mindset. I got to get into different rooms. I got to get into different circles. I got to read more. I got to eliminate friends. Because again, if I'm a student, I need to get better with clarity because I'm about to flunk out because of all these fights. Okay, that's awareness. Now your growth mindset. I need to let Shay go. I need to let Tasha go because they're not doing me anywhere. And once they let them go, now I can focus more on my wellness and making me happy because I'm in a better spot because I let things go, but I got to gain something else, which is mean taking care of me more, understanding me more, doing things that I need, exercise, working out, meditation, more prayer. But you have to go through those cycles. Self awareness. What is that I need? Okay, what is my growth mindset? How will I continue to grow since I'm aware of the trauma, the things that I'm going through? How do I grow? That means counseling, reaching out. That means talking to someone. Once I get those things, now I focus on the wellness, which is continuing to get better. And that's also another thing I educate my students and adults because we hear mental health. Mental health is our psychological, sociological, sociology, and emotional aspect. Okay. I get hype, y'all. When I get hype, I get tongue tied. If you're in front of me, I may be spitting and everything. So you have your mental health, which is psychological, sociological, and emotional aspect. So which means that's the whole embodied. When we hear mental health, we get afraid, especially in our community. Oh my gosh, he got mental health. That doesn't mean you're running around in the street. Mental health is just the overall terminology of everything that you got going on. And your wellness is how do you handle and cope with strategies and things to make sure your mental health is at a positive mental health. So you can't get a positive mental health unless you focus on your mental wellness. But the thing about mental wellness, unless you're self-aware of what you need to work on, which is your growth mindset, you can never get well. So those kind of goes into the areas that I would say a person needs to work on if they're focusing on clarity, breakup, abuse, anything of that nature. Use those three things, jot those down, and you will continue to find solutions. Not the problem. The questions are to help you find solutions.
Yeah.
Got
Excuse me, my throat. Anyways, my voice just decides to not come out sometimes. But side note, I lost my voice the day after my birthday, and that was so humbling. But anyways,
Oh, you must was acting a fool for you
I
lose your voice.
wasn't
You
even. That's the
screaming.
crazy part. I was not even. I was just like, God, what is this? But what I was gonna say, I just had a little flashback. I really think God did that to humble me before I go into this next chapter. He was like, you better be wise with your words because I'll take your voice. But
Oh.
yeah. Anyways, I love that it's not like self-awareness is great, but I think like self-awareness could also be like a prison or like useless if you don't use it properly. Because it's
Mm,
like, okay, it's good that you are able to answer all these questions, but it has to translate into action. And it just
that's
reminds me of
right.
talkers versus doers. Because I
Mm-hmm.
feel like the being self-awareness, going through all those questions, that's the talking part. But what's really gonna help you is when you start taking the actions based
Mm-hmm.
on what you know about yourself. So that just reminded me of that. And also you mentioned before how you had to like eliminate people, things, and places that no longer served you. And I think I can only speak to the person who believes in God. Because if you don't believe in God, I don't really know what to tell you. But for the person who believes in God, I want to encourage that person because we have this lack mentality this poverty mentality that when we get rid of things, we're going to go without, we're going to be missing something. But it doesn't work like that with God. Like when you get rid of some things, you make space for Him to replace it with something better.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
when we do the subtraction, that's our math. God deals in multiplication.
Yeah.
So it's going to be
He
more than you
multiply.
ever thought. And even fast, like you talked about speed, how fast these opportunities is coming
Mm-hmm.
because you got rid of the things that was no longer serving you. So I love that. All
Definitely.
right. The last serious question that I have is, what does it look like to you to live life with no filter and just authentically be yourself?
Mm. If I can first be really transparent, it hurts sometimes. And then I'm gonna say it's amazing. And I know listening to this, you guys are like, this is so complex. I would say it hurts sometimes because living in that area, a lot of people don't understand. So let's go back to the people, things, and places I've eliminated. I'm very uh, trying to say the right word because I'm always thinking about things like this with my parents and stuff because they do a lot more now watching things I'm on because they know that I'm talking about these things. And you know, our family secrets, nobody wants that. So the hurt is I can't talk to them like I want to because I don't want to hurt myself. So I don't speak about certain things. And when I do, I'm just that I'm direct and I'm authentic. And it hurts their feelings. And I'm okay with it now. But it's still because it's a distance with family. But me learning and understanding you are birthed in a family. That doesn't mean you have to always be family. And that's the hurt part. But that's my growth because I had to become self aware of who I am to be able to grow, to be okay with this. And then that excitement comes because I'm walking in my purpose. I'm walking in my identity and I'm walking in my truth. Nobody can take my truth away from me. Nobody can take the power of God has on me. So I'm okay with it. So do I ponder sometimes to be like, I know they ain't gonna invite me to their dinner because they don't want me to say nothing. But then I kick back and say, I saved a lot of money by switching to Geico, you know? So those are the kind of different filters and feelings that, you know, I express with it. But overall, it's great because I can truly be me. I can truly talk my talk. It took me to 30 some years for me to tell my story to people. It took me for 30 some years for me to cry over those stories. And it took me for 30 some years to understand my story got to be told. It will continue to be told. So, yeah.
I love that. I also appreciate how you kind of deal with like both sides of something. And I like to do that too when I am aware of something because I think sometimes we can be a little oversimplified or just say like something is this, but really like something can be XYZ and also
Mhm,
ABC. And let's talk about
mhm.
both sides. And so I really appreciate that you do that in your answers because that's something I like to do as well. And yeah. You reminded me, oh my gosh, hopefully the thought stays with me. But like how when you are operating authentically, like not everybody can relate to that because a
Mhm,
lot of people don't be out here being authentic.
mhm.
And it just reminds me of how it's like two ways I've heard it said. Like one way is that you can't expect honesty from people who lie to themselves. And then the
Oh,
other way is like people will only meet you as deeply as they've met themselves. And
mhm.
so I feel like
You talking that talk, dude. You better.
that's what I'm
Yes.
like, that's what I saw. Like, that's what I'm hearing as I'm listening to you. It's
Mhm,
like, as much as you would love for your family to, I don't know, like properly apologize or like be
mhm.
more supportive, whatever, it's like, maybe they're just not capable yet. Maybe one
They're
day,
not.
who knows? But like, that's up to them to do that. The self awareness and work that you've done for yourself, they have to do that for
They,
themselves too.
they have to do it, and that's something I had to come to grip with. They would never understand because they haven't had those. I know it's several things because God has gave you proclaimed that it's several things my mom went through. But until she get help with it, she won't be able to understand or help me because she got things that she's put in her closet and just said, let it be gone. And that's the same thing, for some of you guys that are in relationships. I'm big on it. If your mate have shown any signs that they need counseling and they don't get it, that's not for you. Because that means that they're not willing to deal with some of their problems and issues that they got going. Because you cannot help or be anybody with anybody if you have not worked on you. Like you come first. You come first. Yes. Yes. Come on now, Zoom. You come first. I can't be a great mate, sister, or friend to you if I'm not whole or healing. Don't mean that stuff ain't gonna happen because it's life and life be life. But you gotta come grips with who you are as a person. You have to get help. Tell my parents them all the time, y'all go get counseling. Counseling helps you and allow you to be able to see things and talk about things in a different manner. That's why I'm so deep on my self-aware because I've talked to people. So you have to be able to get help for you to be able to do things. And I'm big on that on relationships. Oh, you don't think you need help? You need counseling? Uh-huh. Okay. Because we ain't finna play these games. We ain't finna play these games back and forth where you feel like you know everything and you good in this area, but you got all this going on. No. I need a helpmate. And you not
Exactly.
working on you is not helping me. It's hindering my success. And anything that's hindering me, oh, it's a problem because I work too hard to get here, but you're gonna work on your own. Or you're gonna work alone. That's period.
Period.
Mm-mm.
And I try not to be overly churchy, but like as a Christian, we love to like tell people like do not be unequally yoked. And then we just think like, okay, like that means don't be with somebody who's not a Christian. But it's actually so
Mm-mm.
much deeper than that. It's really like
Yeah.
what you just said. Like if you know that you have that growth mindset, you're self-aware, you're humble, you can't be with somebody who's not those same things. And I say that from
Mm-hmm.
experience because I've always been the same way. Like, all right, what do I need to do? How do I need to invest in myself? Like, I'm gonna meet with my therapist, blah, 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 blah. And then I got into a relationship with my daughter's father who his brain doesn't work like that. And in the Bible they talk about being equally yoked. So it's like if you have a field or something, you have like two oxen that will plow, but if
Mm-hmm.
the two oxens are not both working, like the one oxen is just going to stay there. The one oxen who wants to do the work is not going to be able to go far. It's just going to go in circles because it doesn't
Right.
have that partner helping it carry the load. And it's literally that same exact way in life. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you know that you have clear vision, self awareness, growth mindset, you have goals and stuff, and then you get with somebody who is not on that same level, it's going to hinder how far you could really go, or you're
Definitely.
going to end up going in circles.
Mm-hmm. Definitely those circles because then, like we was talking about earlier, you start second guessing yourself. Am I
Yeah.
being too much? Am I doing the most? Do I need to change something? Do I need to tone this down? Like I gotta compromise now. What are we compromising? When I'm just asking you to be in a relationship, you work on you. You working on you means that's bettering us. And I'm telling you, please don't put me before you. I want you always to be first. And you hear people, I die for them. No, don't die for me. Don't kill for me. I want you to love you first and let me come. So we help each other get to that next level. But
Yeah.
I can't help you if you're not self-aware. You can't help me if I'm not self-aware of where I want to go and be.
Whew.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, we gotta have direction, baby. Like, let's talk about this. And I
Yeah.
used to shy away from that, but now when I first meet people, people be like, "Oh, you gonna run them away couple of days or two?" So, baby, So, do you go see somebody? Do you talk to somebody? You have some trauma in your family, things going on that you may want to talk about. Let's go ahead and get this out now. I like to go ahead and talk about now because energy is crazy too. You can get around people that got bad energy things going on with their family, their self kind of rub off on you. So I go ahead and ask the question. Don't even take the time because first of all, I'm a full-time entrepreneur. My time is short, and the time I give you, I may be thinking about how many other things I could have did. So let's make this work.
Yeah, your time is valuable.
Yes.
Yeah. And
So
also
definitely.
you remind me, first of all, that whole like, oh, you're gonna scare them away. Okay, well, if they're not really for me, like, it's not really a loss. It's like
Mm-mm.
it goes back to the whole like to me, I think it goes back to having quality over quantity, right? I'd rather have
Yes.
one person of high quality than a bunch of eh, okay, there are options.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
there's always gonna be plenty of okay people, but I don't want okay. That was never enough for me. So I hate that whole like, oh,
Mm.
you're gonna scare them away, you're gonna intimidate them. Okay, well, if they're scared or intimidated, they wasn't for me. Like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
But also you
Well.
just reminded me one show that me and my sister like to watch is The Amazing Race. And I don't know if you ever watched that, but it's like there's all these teams, they got two people and they gotta like race around the country or the world, honestly, different countries and complete these different tasks. And it's very interesting to watch the different dynamics that come out amongst the teams. And in this last season, there was two sets of brothers and these one brothers, you could tell like they had been through things that they hadn't really properly dealt with. And it showed because they were like
Mm-hmm.
emotional and like, I don't know if I could
Arguing and
live
stuff with each
without
other.
not even, but just the things that some of the things that they said, it was like, oh, something's a little off there. Like, oh, like I don't know if I could live without him and like he means so much to me. But something about the way they said it, it was like they
Mm-hmm.
need to find themselves a little bit more. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
the brothers who end up winning, they had such a beautiful, healthy dynamic. You could tell they were like cultured and just like they have done some work on themselves and it shows.
Yeah.
It shows. But anyways,
Work shows and people when you done it well. And like you said, definitely maybe need some work, but also some things that may have happened with them growing up and they had to lean on each other. So that's
yeah,
all they know. But now you become an adult and you gotta be able to cut that umbilical cord from each other to be able to not only just survive, but they needed to thrive and they didn't win because they didn't thrive because they used to surviving with each other. Okay
exactly.
now. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I got three really quick questions. You have time for them? It's real quick. These are the fun questions because we done got into a lot of deep stuff and
Yeah.
whew, it was good. It was real good. But I like to ask some more lighthearted questions. So I really like to travel. I don't know about you, but I love to travel. So if you could go anywhere in the world right now, where would you go?
One place I would go right now is Africa. I really want, I've seen pictures and shout out to my nonprofit, Youth Talk United. I have two young ladies from Nigeria that's in my nonprofit and they travel, they show pictures of Nigeria and Africa all the time. Definitely would be something that I would want to go.
Okay, nice. I love that. And I also like to ask for a song recommendation. So it could be something that's kind of like an anthem to you that always, gets you through, or like something you just had on repeat lately,
Mm.
either or.
Pass the mic. If you only knew. Hey, hey, that's my right there. If people only knew what I've gone through.
I don't think I heard that one, but I really love Big by
Oh yeah,
Pastor Mike.
big
That's my
is
song.
another, but I'm check that out after this. If you only knew by Pastor Mike is definitely so.
Okay, cool. And then the last thing I like to ask is for a book recommendation. So again, it could either be something that you read recently or something that you read whenever, but it really just changed your perspective.
Mm, I'm gonna say one is I'm doing shameless plug. One is how to influence people. I can't think of his name. How to influence people and friends.
Yeah.
That is a good book. I'm in the midst of reading that. Also, Jerry, you got your book out too. So most definitely, Yana, we want to put your book out there too to make
Yeah.
sure you're getting that. And I got to get in on that. I think that's one of the biggest things that I've been doing right now is finding different things that I can read to take that time out, especially going in the area that I'm going and basically forming a new environment. So influencing and talking to new people is something that is different, even though I like it. It's just on another level. So I'm really working on that part.
I love that. That book is a classic. I haven't read it yet,
Yeah.
but I've definitely heard of it because its reputation is just
Yeah,
real good.
like I
And
got
thank
too
you.
many. Yeah, I see another one too. The Millionaire by Rachel Rodgers. It's a good, but it's for
Oh
females.
yeah. I
Yeah,
read that
that's
one. That
another.
was good.
Okay.
Thank you for adding that one because nobody's ever said that book, but I have read it and it did make me think bigger. And also thank you for plugging Thrive because absolutely, okay, we gotta stop surviving and start thriving. And I'm gonna put the link in
Yeah.
the show notes for you to get your
Hmm.
copy. Everybody get their copy. But anyways, yeah, that's all I got. Do you have
Thank
any
you. No, I
last
thank you so
words or anything
much.
that you want to add or you feel like you already laid it all out? Like,
Yeah, I thank you so much for this opportunity. It's always a blessing to be able to speak. Anytime you like to have me again, please do so. As I got so many great things coming up and going. As I spoke about my nonprofit, we have a huge project that we got coming up that we have been blessed with a grant. So as I specialize with female athletes, I know, right?
go
Starting in
ahead.
January, I will be going within Birmingham, Jefferson County District, working and surveying female athletes. The goal is to provide to our community that more needs to be there for female athletes. So they will be surveyed on their understanding of mental health and mental wellness. And from there, the goal is to get projects in all our high school and collegiate programs that do not have them that are serving our young ladies with mental health. Again, it's nothing with young males, I coach, but as a female, I've been through that process of the depression and the overwhelm. And just our females still now, we do not get the notarized or the needed information as our males do, on it, especially in more smaller colleges and in those areas. So my focus right now are those D3s and D2s in the high schools. I know some of the other D1s and all that. You guys have amazing people, but what about the one that does not have all this accolade and money coming into the school? These young girls need just as much. I went to a JUCO and we had some of the wildest coaches, and I probably drunk more then than I did ever in my life. And nobody was there to help out. So those are the things of why I'm pushing to give back. So I'm excited about this grant. Like I said, this is going to be huge. It's going to span for about 3 months. Then we'll be getting together with all the AD coaches and directors on how can we transition and make this better for our community. So I'm so excited about this. I think this is gonna be so dope. It's gonna open so many doors. Another great thing just to be on the lookout. Talkers versus doors, our door bags. We've already been delivering them to some schools, but my goal going into the new year is I am a door bag. So those are gonna be specific for female athletes. I would love as I'll be dropping a GoFundMe so y'all hear first in January too to be able to get vans that actually travel from state to state, city to city, dropping these bags off, asking people to donate. The bags are ranging from between $10 to $12, but it's going to be drawstring bags. They're going to have mental health, wellness tips, strategies, resources, also healthy eating and things for these female athletes. So those are some great things that I'm working on that I'm excited about coming into the new year to really push and allow the space of mental health and mental wellness to be discussed among our youth, young adults, like everyday normal conversation.
That's amazing. And congratulations on that grant because that's huge and it's going to impact so many lives. When we buy the talkers versus doers gear, does that benefit your
Oh, I'm
nonprofit?
glad you said that. Yes, the percentage of the shirts does go to the nonprofit. They are custom made shirts. As she was saying, this is a different kind of feel on it, and you can also get them. I know I've had some people order them to go along with their flights or their shoes or whatever, so they are custom made to your colors. But they do a percentage do go to the nonprofit, so we can be able to do things of this nature. That's why next year you guys will see more merch where we have shorts, sweats, all that we're looking to get actually gear for the female athletes. There's going to be dual athletic gear to be able to have that. So everything will go back into the pool of us being able to spread more mental health awareness, especially to our more JUCO colleges and things that we know that are struggling that can't afford to get the services of other colleges.
Perfect. So I'm definitely going to put your information on how we can connect with you and support
Definitely.
your brand because when we it's good ground. When we support you, we're supporting so much bigger and so much more. So I'm
Definitely.
definitely gonna drop those links in the show notes. And thank you again for coming through and sharing your story and just encouraging us today.
Thank you. Thank you. This is awesome. I look forward to coming back. I look forward to it.
Yes.
So
We'll
yeah.
need updates soon. All right.
Hmm.
Bye.